Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Insurtech Insights Summer Series webinar in partnership with Resistant AI. Today's topic is all around Gen AI, fake claims, and template farms, how to tackle fraud in insurance. My name's Tom Robinson. I am the USA content lead here at Insurtech Insights. And before I hand over and sort of do introductions for our esteemed panel, I just wanted to set the scene in terms of why we're having this discussion today. Fraud is always been a challenge for insurers, and it always will be. However, something that we're grappling now is something completely new. The rise of Gen AI, synthetic identities, and scalable fraud templates means that bad actors exploiting insurers and their vulnerabilities more intelligently and quicker than ever before. So today, what we're here to discuss is how insurers can adapt, respond, and stay ahead in a rapidly evolving landscape. What I want to say again before we introduce our panelists is this is an interactive session, so you'll have your opportunity to ask our experts your burning questions live. So make sure you use that tab on the right-hand side to ask our experts. As a first question to the audience, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always really interesting to hear how wide people tune in. I know we've had some people tune in at this time in the evening in Asia, so would be great to hear from you. But without further ado, I'm going to pass over to our panelists to do a short introduction. I'm going to pick on Vit first, just as he was he's first there on my screen. So Vit, over to you.
Okay, hi, good afternoon. My name is Vit, and for 11 years, I've been dedicated to fighting financial crime at the Cooperativa Czech Republic. And I began my journey as a field investigator, uncovering insurance fraud. And today I lead a team that is focused on detecting and preventing various financial crimes in the insurance, focusing on fraud and money laundering. Well, and our mission of our team is to protect the company, fine-tune our detection systems, and provide support for detection of the fraud and implementing new various stuff for fighting the fraud. So I'm really looking forward for today's discussion and experience sharing.
Excellent. I'm gonna pass over to Taskin now.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tashkin Ismet. I am the head of cost containment in travel at AXA Partners Spain, based in Spain, but we cover most of the European markets. And I'm also the chief fraud officer for the Spanish office. I've worked in insurance for over 15 years through managing the operations team, and for the last 3 years heading up the fraud team, where we concentrate mainly on customer-led fraud. And looking forward to today's talk.
Excellent. And last but by no means least, Christina, if you take us away.
Thank you, Tom. And hello, everyone. So my name is Christina. I work as a product manager at Resistant AI, where we help insurers and customers in financial sector secure and protect their document workflows from different types of fraud, document manipulation and fraud. For insurers, it's mostly in the context of claims handling. We are surely gonna discuss this today. As a result, we help them streamline processes and empower their fraud and investigation teams with document forgery detection tool that allows them to be more efficient and provides them with extra set of technical eyes. I work very closely with most of our insurance customers. Very happy to have representatives of the two of them on the webinar here with me, and wonderful to see so many attendees joining from all around the world. Joining this session from Prague, Czech Republic.
Excellent. Yeah, I was just going to comment on that as well. We've got South Africa, we've got the US. I think I saw Sri Lanka in there as well. So
Yeah.
very, very Philippines, a very, very global audience. So thank you all for being with us. In terms of how we're going to sort of segment this session, it's going to be into 3 parts, which will bring us up to 1/4 hour, which the final 15 minutes will be for audience Q&A. So as mentioned from the top there, make sure that you feed your questions to our experts, and we'll get there sort of with with 15 minutes to go. But the way that I want to sort of segment this session is into 3 parts. So firstly, it's I want to sort of talk around about the scale of the issue at the moment, almost a state of play. The second thing I want to come on to is talking around, what are the current limitations around fraud and fraud detection tools. And then to bring us home, I want to talk, I want to be this to be a future thinking one, where are we going in the future? So I'll start with the first sort of round of questions, which is, what is the scale of the issue? And my first question is for Vit. Obviously, with your background in anti-fraud and anti-money laundering, you're in a very good place to answer, how criminals adapt to leverage technology to increase their success. So having some, observations from yourself in terms of, the current situation at the moment and how it's developing would be a really good place to start.
Yeah, that's a good start, and that's a good point. Well, we're definitely seeing a rise of forged documents and manipulated photographs, like fake invoices or altered medical reports, and it's a bit significant challenge because if I would compare it with the previous years when generative AI was not a thing or was not available for everybody, and let's say uh, the modification and forging documents for the insurers was a bit a thing of tech-savvy fraudsters. So not everybody was able to do that, but now you can try generative AI, do your own pictures and your own modifications for free of cost. So it's a bit challenging that it's much more available for the fraudsters, and we have to fight that. But also, on the other hand, in all the insurers, we have to cut the costs. We have to streamline all our processes to give the customers better customer experience. Move the claims handling processes much more faster. So we are also exploiting ourselves or we are giving ourselves in hands of the process. So um, our current age provides the opportunity for much more for opportunistic fraudsters, which would not ever think about doing such a type of the fraud, but they can try that. It's much more easier. And on the other side, well, to be honest, we didn't also have the technology like this, or we even were not able to find falsified pictures or falsified documents, and we only relied only on the experience or also on the memory of the claim handlers, what they remembered if they've seen something. So adapting technology that can find falsified documents, or let's say go through the other part of the story, because one side of the story, if your company is data driven, well, one side story is the data, but then the remaining part of the story is in the documents. So if you're not able to check and verify what you are seeing, then you're on the well, you're at the bottom. So uh, well, we are seeing the rise, but also we are seeing the rise because we are now able to find the fraud in the documents. So that's one point from my side.
Very good. And before I'm going to a natural segue is to bring Christina into there when you talk about the technology side of things. But before I bring in Christina, I just want to, out of interest, is it just technology that you're finding is spiking these fraudulent cases, or are there potentially some other factors at play, or are you finding tech is the main driver of that? Oh, maybe that's a good time to bring in Christina then. So, talking around on the tech front side of things, obviously you're in quite a unique situation and probably understand it better than most. So, what are the current risks that insurers are finding when dealing with fraudulent documents, transactions, and identities?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe for those who joined a little bit later, what we do at Resistant AI is we help insurers detect fraud and manipulation in documents that they receive during claims handling. And The first risk, or what is maybe making the whole thing more difficult for teams, is documents diversity. Because in insurance and in claims, unlike in lending on or onboarding, where you typically deal with same kinds of documents like bank statements, payslips, IDs, insurers have to deal with much broader variety of documents. You might be reviewing invoices, receipts, police reports, medical records in dozens of formats, layouts, languages, especially in areas like travel or health. It's incredibly difficult. You cannot really rely on the known templates or any reference points. You just see the document once and then never again. So that's already a difficult part. And then comes the whole, document forgery and all of the technology that actually powers this area. And I'm gonna repeat a little bit what Veet has already shared when expanding on the risks, because today you actually must be aware of different threats that are associated with documents. And we can maybe take a quick trip through evolution of document fraud. Historically, it required skill and knowledge to forge the document well. You needed to be really tech savvy. You can think of Catch Me If You Can movie, but maybe in a digital age. Forgers really needed tools. They needed the knowledge to pull it off. Today, pretty much anyone can alter a document using their phone, using their laptop. You can change the dates on invoices. You can inflate amounts on receipts. It's done very often in a ways that no human eye can spot it. So that's one thing that actually powers opportunistic fraud. But it's not only that. Then we have organized fraud rings who operate at scale. What they are doing, they are trying to identify a loophole to exploit within your business rules and business processes. They, for example, identify that you do not check claims below a certain value, and boom, they are in, ready to play big time. Reusing templates of documents that visually look, perfect. They are just changing the personal details. They might be changing backgrounds, textures of those documents to make them look a little bit random. And heavily manual processes that are still present within the workflows of a lot of insurers are not very well suitable for detecting these patterns of what is called serial fraud early. And those fraudsters, they not only do it themselves, but they also support others through template farms. You can basically, or template farm is essentially a marketplace offering a very high quality forged documents. There are hundreds of farms out there offering anything from invoices for luxury goods to medical reports, bank statements, no claims discount. You can get a no claims discount or car insurance certificate from AXA. I just checked one earlier today. And on top of that, you've got generative artificial intelligence that is disrupting all that, or disrupting is probably not the right word. I should use accelerating or supercharging all that, because it lowers the barrier to entry for opportunistic fraudsters. Like we said, pretty much anyone can access those tools today with the right prompt in a natural language. Anyone can generate fake documents with very realistic layouts, logos, context in minutes. And it's not only individuals, but also those organized criminals who are using this, using artificial intelligence at scale. They are able to do it fast. They are able to use the templates that they already have and generate really high quality fake documents that they then utilize. So it's a combination of all of those three things: human editing, template farms, generative artificial intelligence. And when you look at it, truth is very simple. You cannot really trust those documents that you receive at face value, because you cannot trust how it looks. You cannot trust what it says. The content may look valid, but when you look at structure, metadata, and other technical aspects of those documents, it might tell you a completely different story. And that's what we are helping our insurance customers to uncover.
Excellent. And I want to bring Taskin into this now. From AXA Partners side of things, obviously, in the travel space, are you seeing, very much the same story? To what extent is it different and more nuanced? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, very much the same. So within travel, Obviously, there's a lot of opportunistic fraud in there, and from our experience, so I'm also the fraud officer for home and motor within Spain, but certainly we can see a difference within travel because there's not, for example, if you're buying a home or a car, insurance is something you tend to return to over and over. You might stay with them for years. With travel, the very fact that it's for a specific period of time, I think gives people a lot more confidence that perhaps they can get away with something. And then you see that sort of opportunistic fraud spiking. Exactly as Christina was saying as well, what we found as soon as we started using document analysis is really where we were perhaps we felt safe before. We began using the document analysis on claims where we had suspicion of fraud. And then because of the strike rate there, we began opening it out to pretty much right now we're looking at every single document that comes in. And the volume of fraud we're being able to prove in cases where we would simply never have looked before. And again, as Christina said, it's something that you simply wouldn't spot with the human eye. As you touched on yourself as well, Tom, before, we were relying on people who simply build up experience or maybe remembered a customer name or something from the past, whereas none of that will do anymore because there's simply too much going on. So, I mean, certainly from ourselves within travel, we're seeing it with with falsified medical expenses, with travel booking forms. It can be flight bookings, the kind of things whereas before it would have taken us a lot of time to hunt through and try to find discrepancies there. And all of that would only start if we had a suspicion in the first place, and it would then take us a long time. Now we're able to spot very quickly before even having a doubt in the first place. We're simply presented with evidence there and then.
Mm-hmm. Booking confirmations actually are one of the most popular insurance-related document that you can get on the internet as a fake version, like booking confirmation or cancellation confirmation for booking.com, Airbnb, different airlines, and very easy, tens of euros, and off you go.
Yeah, those I would say, and from our experience, Louis Vuitton receipts.
And that as well.
Everybody seems to have a Louis Vuitton bag or shoes,
right?
Or they've never purchased anything from Zara.
From Zara, right? As we discussed before this webinar.
Yeah,
exactly.
Really interesting. I know I said I was going to sort of leave audience Q&A to the final 15 minutes, but there's a question here from Jack that I wanted to pose, and I'll let whoever feels most relevant jump in on this. So when talking around current risks, Jack's asked what currently is posing a greater or more regular risk, snowflakes or deepfakes? Shallow fakes. Sorry, I misread that.
I can maybe take this one first, and guys can share their experience as well. I would say it's both. Shallow fakes are typically more associated with opportunistic frauds, individuals manipulating documents. Deep fakes, of course, individual can generate a deep fake, but we see those associated more with organized criminals, and doing the fraud at scale, generating fake documents from scratch, or photographs that they need to attach to the claim. So it also heavily depends on insurance vertical. In travel, Tashkin mentioned, everyone feels like, hey, I can actually do a fraud because it's not that much money, and my flight got actually delayed, so I should be compensated for that, even though I'm not eligible according to my insurance. So heavily depends on what type of insurance, what type of segment, but I wouldn't say that the one is greater than the other. The organized one, of course, can grow when it comes to scale.
Tashin, what do you make from an insurance side of things?
I mean, from us, if I speak on behalf of our team, then obviously for us, perhaps we're not differentiating so much between whether it's shallow or deep fake. It's literally just for us, it's fake or it isn't. And again, yeah, I would say that we're seeing it. We specifically look at fakes from customers, and again, it's just simply that opportunistic part. For example, if we take baggage claims where there may be a legitimate baggage loss, and the feeling is, well, if I'm applying anyway, I may as well throw in a couple of extras, the iPad, etc., etc. And that's where we'll begin to see those fake documents. So you might have a collection of 15, 20 receipts which are all valid, and then one or two thrown in at the end.
Interesting. Anything from your side, Vit?
Yeah. Well, I've never seen, but I cannot say that I'll never see that. But I've never seen in my career right now the deep fake. We mostly are seeing the shallow fakes, and like just for your imagination, like all around the Europe, there were the floodings last year, and we were able to even, well, since this is a terrific thing like that, you would not expect that somebody would try to make an insurance fraud. Yeah, and even in this horrific type of event, we found the process like that they gave us a falsified invoices for such a things that they never owned. Or for example, like we are seeing the show fakes in or modified documents in medical reports, like that they are sharing the documents between each family. It's like a shared knowledge between the people, like that they know the flaws of the system, and they are sharing the experience between them, and also they are not even caring to go even to see the doctor, and they just share the documents. So we haven't seen the deep fakes, but sooner or later we will see that. Not like, for example, in the car insurance. Well, mostly we are seeing the fake documents, such as invoices or medical documents.
I think people will be tempted with the availability of Gen AI and models where you can prompt
Yeah.
you can prompt it to get a photo
Yeah.
of your virtual car, property, items that you own. So probably
Yeah.
gonna grow.
For example, it was a thing like previous years that to make to create false policies, to get for the agents for getting the money for arranging policies. So we had these type of the frauds. So you might, maybe in the future we might expect to see the falsified identities, falsified policies with fictitious people and fictitious claims. We've seen that, but it was really in a small scale, and it was around the iPhones. So and in this type of the scenario, we heavily relied only on the experience and what we really remembered, and we saw the typical names of the repair shops that were frequently repetitive, and the bank numbers, but it was the perspective of the data, but the main point of the fraud was in the documents, and at the time and the previous years we were not able to find it. We had to go deeply by any other leads to find those suspicious claims. So yeah.
Excellent. I want to, just in the interest of time, I can see so many questions coming in here. I'll leave those to the end of the session just to keep us on track. So I wanted to roll forward slightly to do, almost a bit of a test of what are, the current limitations of fraud detection tools. And, we spoke about a lot of the different types of threats there. So I want to throw to Taskin first, talking about many insurers feel like current counter fraud capabilities are sufficient to not just only the challenges that they're facing at the moment, but the emerging risks that are sort of coming down the garden path. I would be curious to get your thoughts on is this confidence misplaced? Is to what extent is the tech that we have today good enough to fight the challenges of tomorrow? And maybe that'd be a good place to pull Christina in terms of how these products and how Resistant is viewing these products going to evolve over time, because I think that's a really important factor. So I'll throw it to Taskin, and then I'll bring in Christina.
Yeah, I mean, I would say on that, if I take our own experience from prior to working with Resistant to now working with them, the simple fact of GenAI fraud in general, I don't think you could be more misplaced than to imagine you can fight fraud without it, because it's it's a level of fraud, and as everyone's touched on, it's the kind of thing, a 10-year-old child can create a very valid looking document that if you haven't got some sort of tech behind it, we could look at as a human and it just looks absolutely fine. And I think we also have to be conscious as well is that the fact that technology is advancing so quickly, then we need to be doing exactly the same thing. And despite that, there's a strong likelihood that we are mostly a step behind. Generally, now and again, we'll catch up and we'll be sort of hitting that sweet spot of being able to find fraud where it exists, but it will only be a matter of time until it then jumps again. And so if you're not working not only with the technologies that's available today, but staying on top of all the way that it's going to advance in the future, then I think you're making a mistake. And that's one of the reasons, if I think of ourselves or at AXA, a lot of the time we try to develop in-house tech, but there are certain things where you just have to really look out to external experts who specialize in that and who are going to, it's in their own interest to stay on top, because whatever we may develop in-house, it will be good for a set period of time, and I don't believe we would ever be able to keep up with the way that fraud is evolving.
Absolutely. We have an evergreen topic at all of our ITI conferences covering that exact question of build, buy or partner. So we could spend a whole nother hour on that topic. But keeping on the fraud topic per se, I want to bring in Christina now. Curious to get your thoughts in terms of leveraging this new tech of AI, machine learning, to fill those gaps. And I'm particularly interested in sort of the product evolution, through these partnerships. When forging these partnerships, you want them to be long term, and people's priorities today are different to what they are tomorrow. So would be really interested to get your thoughts and how Resistant views to maximize ROI. How do you grow alongside your partners?
Yeah, very good question. So we already mentioned it, that fraudsters keep innovating and evolving, so must insurers and their defenses, and therefore we have to evolve and innovate as well. I actually had a meeting with our customer earlier today, and they asked me about our roadmap, what's on it. And of course, we've got some plans regarding the infrastructure, the portal and other things, but a big part of our roadmap is continuously develop new detectors to address new fraudulent techniques that fraudsters come up with. And I don't want to say that it doesn't sound exciting, but it's still our ultimate goal, that we are trying to I don't want to say catch up, but of course we need to continuously come up with new things to ensure that we are protecting our customers and their workflows, because we can agree on the fact that manual checks won't really do it anymore, because clearly humans are not able to see subtle changes or of manipulation within documents, and you are also not able to identify patterns within the data. You've got a whole team. Each of the member of that team looks at subset of documents. They never get to see the holistic view to identify individual patterns of, for example, serial fraud. And also, you don't want to be reviewing your whole traffic. You want to be looking only at those suspicious cases. So what we do, we provide safety layer, or I should say multiple layers to our customers to help them automatically check documents that they intake, flag anything that is suspicious, forged, manipulated, and there are hundreds of different detectors. Each of the detector is addressing something different, some inconsistencies in documents internal structure, other look at artifacts of AI generated content, other look at physical inconsistencies, damaged documents, low quality documents, and all of those things we can actually customize in accordance to our customers' risk appetite and preferences. So then they get those cases escalated to special investigation unit or fraud teams for investigation, and safe proportion of the traffic can actually be processed automatically if it meets other criteria or passes additional internal or external data validation check. So it's a lot of moving pieces, within the product, and not only from our end, but also our customers who are providing us with the data, because better the data, better the outcome. Pre-processed documents, any systematic changes are skewing the results. So we work very closely together to ensure that we are delivering the best results possible, continuously exchanging feedback, bi-directionally, to fight the frauds together.
Absolutely. I think we could have a whole nother webinar on the importance of data, for deploying these tools. But we won't come on to that today. But just before I throw over to Vit as a follow-up question there, I'd be curious to get, from a partner angle, Christina, what do you think from an insurer point of view they should be looking for when they're going into the market to look at solutions? I'd be curious to get your thoughts on what they should be looking for.
Yeah, so definitely I would say that a solution should be able to address the challenges that they are facing, digital fraud, manual or physical manipulation to documents, scalability. For example, we don't really work with documents content. We can process documents in any language. If you are a global player, you receive data from different geographies, different use cases. It's important that actually tool can help you, or you can deploy that tool across individual services, product lines, geographies, and entities. Explainability, that's also a very important thing. You don't really want to deploy a black box. You need to understand what's going on. You probably will want to utilize the data that you are receiving back, for example, our results, because not only we let you know that you just received a manipulated documents, but also a lot of details regarding that document, what it has been throughout its life cycle. So you can actually utilize the information that you just received, a screenshot or a photo of a screen picturing that document instead of the digital original. And you can include it internally within your triage system. So that's that. I already mentioned explainability. We are providing a portal view. So when special investigation units or agents in general are reviewing, for example, the results, they are doing the investigation, they are able to quickly have a look at the result and do a fast and well-informed decision and spend their valuable time on the toughest cases, maybe doing some traditional ways of investigation, and do not spend on things that are obvious.
Excellent. I'm going to throw to Vit in a moment, but just I can see loads of questions coming in, so this is really excellent. There's one that I'm going to pull from Sarah Brown in a moment, but before I do, I'm going to throw over to you, Vit, in terms of your view of current limitations of traditional fraud detection, and how how they are limited in tackling these synthetic identities.
Well, to be honest, I'm afraid that I'll not be able to add anything new. Well, the main issue is that if you're heavily relying on the data, that then only half of only half of the story, and well, you're still, let's say, you're reactive. You are reacting on the experience what you have seen. You're implementing rules that you have seen, or you are implementing advanced machine learning models on the data that you cannot even explain, but still you're heavily relying on the data. The other side is that the other part of the story you have in the document. So disadvantage of the current fraud tools is that you are reactive. You have to keep them up to date, and also you are dealing with the high level of the false positives. So you can easily get overwhelmed by the huge number of the false positives. And if you have any other tool that can help you to sort it out, to pinpoint where to go, where to aim your investigation, such as Resident AI, for example, like if the field investigator already, well, if you compare, like, the investigator has a claim where he knows that, well, the claim occurred, well, right after the acceptance of the insurance, yeah, and it's a quite expensive car, yeah, it's a thing, but still they have to put an effort. But if they already know that there is a falsified document also included in the claim, then they already know where to aim, where to hit. So yeah, this gives us a big edge and advance where to focus. So yeah, you have to improve, because the process are improving too, and it's a continuous fight.
Very interesting. And I wanted to point to, and I think this is a nice sort of tee up to our, our final segment of the panel, which is, a forward look at things. But a question in the chat from Sarah Brown saying, when we're identifying fraud, how good are we as an industry of sharing this information across multiple insurers, and when it comes to minimizing exposure to each? So that's very much, and why I like these, these sort of sessions is. So challenges such as this, really do lend themselves. It's in everyone's interest to sort of share these informations. Particularly if it is, coordinated very, very, very well. So would love to sort of hear the panel's thoughts on where we're at in terms of sharing this information and how we can better do it.
I can maybe start because guys will probably have a slightly different perspective and experience, from the insurer's point of view. So we develop our product to on anonymized data. We do not use any sensitive features, so a majority of our detectors can be actually utilized out of the box, for any of our customers. So from day one, we are able to help you spot fraud. We do not, of course, share our fraud findings across our individual customers. However, all efforts that we are doing when it comes to researching template farms, organized criminals, fraud as a service tools, and there's plenty of them. We have a whole dedicated team that is working on that. They were already able to identify over 150 farms, offering more than 300,000 different templates, from 180 countries. So those are like staggering numbers. And so far, we focused only on farms operating in English language. We haven't checked, the Spanish language ones, for example. And all of this intel that we gather, we are including it into our product. We are, of course, introducing new detection capabilities to be able to detect documents originating from those farms, and all of our customers actually benefit from these detection capabilities. So we are able to let you know that you just received receipt that actually originates from a known receipt generator. It can be a Louis Vuitton invoice. I saw actually another question in the chat regarding how do you stop Louis Vuitton
I saw that as well,
invoices? Yeah. So our efforts when it comes to threat intelligence, knowing the malicious players that are out there, can actually be beneficial from all of our customers, regardless, without sharing any sensitive data, of course.
Taskin, you came off mute there. Did you have
Yeah,
one
no,
to add?
I was just going to add on as well, in terms of the Louis Vuitton, because we've seen a couple as well, and it's and Vit also mentioned of people, say, sharing what are legitimate one-off Louis Vuitton receipts, and then one of the great advantages we've seen with Resistant as well is the fact it's able to say, I've seen that document before, where again we would never know that. Human eye, you would just never pick up on that, but we're able to say, okay, that's been used on a claim case for whichever customer 6 months ago. So yeah, that's and the other huge advantage we have within there as well, that Christina mentioned, is for us, it's the fact that when we are getting a result out of from technology, it's black and white, it's objective, it's something we can immediately use and shut down the case, decline there and then. Whereas otherwise, when we're investigating, quite often we're absolutely certain that there's fraud, but whether or not we can prove it is a different matter, and we might need to sometimes take a chance and say, well, decline, see if they come back, and then you always have that risk of not only paying, but perhaps paying some compensation because you can't prove what you really know is happening. But with the use of technology, we are able to prove that.
Very good, very good. Vit, I just wanted to offer you a chance to input there in terms of, on the collaboration side of things.
Yeah. Well, one thing we desperately need and we want, but we are limited by the legal environment of each country on sharing the experience, or better share the known fraudsters or damaged stuff and vehicles. But we are limited by the legal system that we have. But this is a great opportunity to find things that we would not ever imagine, because what a type of the fraud you can detect on one side of the world, it can appear in your part of the world in weeks, months, maybe in days. So this is a great opportunity to at least have a tool to find something you would not ever imagine.
Very good, very good. And so, did you have one last thing, Christina, before I moved on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, though not systematic, I experienced some very nice and organic experience sharing during events, industry events that I attended. Insurtech Insights being one of those. So I definitely feel there is an appetite for people to learn from each other's experiences. We are also publishing some blog posts, or doing events and webinars on our own on that topic. So yeah, very much appreciate it, and I'm happy that we can contribute and learn.
Yeah, I should add, I didn't pay you to say that about the show there, Christina, but excellent. Let's in the interest of time, we'll roll forward to our final theme, because I can see the questions are pouring in. So I think this is my favorite question. We've spoken about where we are and sort of our limitations, but now we're taking a forward look in terms of where we're going, and I think that is the exciting things, is the exciting side of things. So probably covered some of this already, Christina, but I'm really curious, and you spoke about you jumped on a customer call earlier today, but curious to know what are the capabilities and the tools that are going to shape how insurers challenge or sort of tackle the fraud challenges of tomorrow. I'd be really interested to get your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they will definitely need help from technology, because humans really cannot do that anymore. I would also say that scale and speed is critical. We see our customers addressing seasonalities, peaks that are happening during disasters. So definitely scale and speed being critical. Explainability, is another thing. Knowing what's going on, you don't want to have a black box. And then, of course, you need a solid base of fraud detection capabilities, helping you address all those different types of threats that we already discussed here. Opportunistic fraud, people doing different types of manipulation very easily using their own devices. Organized criminals who are doing these things at scale. And generative artificial intelligence. Today, you've got access to so many different tools. ChatGPT, of course, being the most famous one, where you can generate documents and photographs very easily. Even though it might give you a little bit childish outcomes, still, it's of course gonna get better, and it's gonna support this fraud issue at mass. So knowing that you are dealing with these sort of cases in real time, so you can triage them, so you are not actually looking at this retrospectively, but knowing in real time and utilize the data continuously learn. Those are for me like the key capabilities that insurers should look for.
Awesome. I want to throw over to Tashkin now. With your boots on the ground here, I'd be curious to know what are the gaps that you feel like in the tools that are being operationalized at the moment, and I'd say more importantly would be interested to get your thoughts on the capabilities that you're thinking about tomorrow. And to bring it back to an earlier comment, I'd be curious to get a little bit of insight in terms of the thoughts of whether building it internally versus partnering with a resistant of the world.
Yeah, no. So I think again, I mean, from our side, I know simply if we began to if we wanted to look to build something in house, we'd probably be looking at a year's development time at least, and then it's not only what you get at that point, it's then keeping up with things, which is why it was clear to me from the start that the answer was external and with people who not only are experts in that but have an interest themselves in staying ahead of the game. Because it's not our area of expertise. Our area of expertise, certainly where I work, is to provide assistance to people whilst they're on holiday and to deal with their claims once they're home. It's not, fraud is a sort of a part of that, so I think we need to be conscious of that. I think where I'm sure the technology will continue to improve, where I see a bit of a need, I think, is simply the fact that everything is done now via telephones. So everyone uses their mobile. When you ask for documents, quite often it'll be a screenshot, it'll be a photo, and obviously you're losing a bit of information each time you do that, and that's just the way the system works. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that'll be tackled in the future. I'm sure they will get there, but there's a little bit of room for improvement there.
Very interesting. I want to sort of throw over to Vit now before we go to the audience Q&A. Vit, curious to get your views on the blind spots and vulnerabilities, and particularly interested in learning how from your side you're strengthening integration with fraud detection software, and how you're staying ahead of these complex and coordinated teams.
Yeah. Well, well, we are trying to get ahead and still get improvements. And one of the things is that adding additional tools for fraud detection gives us, well, let's say, better insight what we are dealing with. And one of the crucial things that I think that even for the future is really necessary, that the tools are helping you to understand the context, because if you're verifying each claim or each document, and if you're taking it out of the context, then you might get misleading perception what's happening. And if you have the tool that can give you, well, you can understand what the tool is saying to you, and even gives you the context, like based on what the type of the claim, and if this document really is dealing document to for your own decision if the claim is acceptable or not, then this is the key part. This has to improve, and we are hoping that we'll get better in this type of detection.
Very good, very good. Just again to keep us to time, I'm going to roll forward to our Q&A now. So make sure you keep posting your questions into the chat. Well, I sort of finish the webinar on roughly with 2 minutes to go is ask the leaders what their call to action would be. But we've got a couple more minutes to ask some audience Q&As here. So obviously we've spoken a lot about the possibility of this technology. However, there are, still some way to go in terms of, the maturity of it. And there was a question here that I'd be curious to, maybe I think Christine might be a great place to start with this, to do with biases within, AI tools and such. So what I'd be curious to get the panelists' interpretation on, what are the tools being used to make sure that the AI isn't biased and is, of course, producing the correct insights.
Yeah. So as I already mentioned, we train only on anonymized features. We do not include any sensitive personal data, that could be causing biases. We really train our models on technical feature, if I may call it that way. But of course, we conduct a thorough quality assurance. We've got processes where we are reviewing samples of data, and anytime we identify a certain bias, for example, skewed results for a very specific document type, because of course it evolves, we need to continuously retrain our models. We initiate the model of retraining. So I would say it's a continuous effort. We've got in-house processes, but the main part is that we really do not utilize any sort of sensitive personal information.
Very good. Tashin, Vit, do you have anything to add to that? Obviously, I know you probably come from a slightly different perspective, but it is a topic that people are wanting to talk about. Obviously, with this technology being more ingrained within our day to day.
Then nothing further to add from my side.
No, don't think anything from Vit either. I wanted to, I guess, throw to a very, what I think which is my most interesting side of things, which is element of human within the machine. At our US show that we had a couple of weeks ago, we actually had the chess grandmaster Gary Kasparov speaking about this very topic. If you haven't seen the LinkedIn short that we did, I would highly recommend you seek it out. It was a very, very good session. But I'd be curious to, as we enter a more, autonomous world, AI driven world, would be curious to get, and maybe Taskin, this is a good person to throw this initial question to, about, where does the human play a role within the future of fraud detection and prevention? How are your boots on the ground? Where do they come into this? It sounds like AI is so powerful, but I'm curious where does the element of the human remain?
Yeah. So I mean, certainly from our side, and it's something which Resistant themselves always recommended. Whenever alerts come through, then you need a human eye on the end of that to have a look to see is it a significant alert? Is it perhaps a false positive? If we take, for example, someone sending in a bank statement and they've circled a payment legitimately because they want to show you something, and the AI will naturally say that document has been manipulated in some way. So that you'll always need the human interaction there. But I think as well, what for ourselves, what Resistant has done is not only giving us those savings in terms of what it spots for us, but the fact it saves us so much time because of that objective proof that it's giving us, we can then concentrate our efforts on the cases where it needs more human intervention, which is making calls, investigating online, ringing hotels, shops, etc. Louis Vuitton, did you sell this bag on that particular date? So we've found that our savings in that respect have gone up in both areas. It hasn't. We had sort of looked at our KPIs and our business case on how much is Resistant going to save us compared to how much we're paying for it, and what we are finding is separate to that, we're also increasing because of that human interaction outside of it, simply because we're saving time.
Interesting. I don't know who wants to jump in there next, Christina or Vit, but curious to get your thoughts in terms of where does the human remain? I think we can all agree human in the loop is essential. Someone posted it in the chat there.
Yeah, I think especially in insurance sector, the human in the loop is crucial element still, and is gonna be going forward. Unlike in other segments where we operate, where the processes are, for example, fully automated and documents are even rejected based on our results. But in insurance, and claims handling, you've got this whole investigation part. And our goal is to help and empower our customers, with this extra set of technical eyes. We are providing them a safety layer that can help them flag cases that are suspicious, manipulated, generated, forged. Then we are providing them with a microscope that their team can use to make that fast decision. And we basically want to convert their mundane work into an algorithm, so they are more efficient and equipped for worse time to come. So it's a combination of automating some parts, doing some automated checks on all of the traffic, and narrowing down the interesting subset of data that should be then utilized further.
Very good. And Vit, want to make sure I give you the opportunity to contribute to this in terms of what your view of where does the human come in with all of this? Maybe we're all going to be replaced. I don't know.
Well, I hope that we will not ever get it replaced, because the crucial part of the human in this particular area is to verify the results, and being there to also criticize the results and think about of the results, what we can get from the AI, or what we can get from our data. And also it's a crucial part to deal with the customers, to persuade them, and to question them, and even question all the stuff that they provided us. Well, and if we take it, and Christina already said it, fighting the fraud, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So on one side, we are trying to find the most suspicious and most suspicious cases, and to deal with them. On the other side, we also would like to provide the customers the most smoothest operation, and let them out of this process, and provide them the payout as soon as we can, as we have all the documents necessary to handle the claim. So we can take this opportunity that we are getting the much more precious time to deal with the suspicious cases, and handle with ease all the non-suspicious claims that are honest claims.
Very good, very good. And it sets up quite nicely the final part as we slowly wind down this webinar. Is what I'd Insurtech Insights, our mission is to provide insights, inspiration, and networking. And what I feel like makes the most impactful session is to have a call to action for all those folks watching at home. I realize we're probably going to spring this on the panelists, so apologies if it's not it's fully baked. But Lisa Wardlaw, who's one of our excellent moderators at our show, has this phrase where she says, what should we start doing, what should we stop doing, and what should we continue to do? So it's okay if there's some overlap, but I was going to go to Tashkin first. I'd be really curious to get your thoughts on that. What should as an industry we start doing, we stop doing, and what should we continue to do?
Stopping, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, because I think from what the way we've used the technology, it's always been as a complementary measure to what we were already doing. So I probably need to think a little bit more about that one, but nothing springs to mind. What should we be doing is really to embrace the technologies that is out there, because whether we like it or not, it's being used to a certain element against us, and I think that will continue, and it will evolve. So we've got to stay on top there. And sorry, so the third part was
continue, and so start, stop, and continue.
Yeah, and and then and then starting on top of that, I think really it's also being open to any other technology that is out there as well. So I know that I can see a question came up in terms of organized network, and I know that's not something we're particularly touching on here, but I think that's just it's also embracing that kind of technology as well, to say as well, rather than not just concentrating on individual cases, but as Vit touched on as well, is to start looking at data, so that you can spot trends, and if there are any networks out there, be able to identify those as well.
Excellent. We've got less than a minute to go, so I'm gonna throw over to Christina next, and then follow up for Vit to bring us home. But again, would love appreciate I've just sprung it on you, but what would your start, stop, and continue be to the audience at home?
I will start with what everyone should start doing, which is probably to build layer defenses. There is no single method or tool, or a silver bullet that's gonna save it all. It's really about combining different layers of detection, and that's even how we built our product, and we encourage our customers to do the same. Utilizing different tools that they've got available. So you look at the document level tampering, you look at structural anomalies, patterns between individual documents, and even traces of automated behavior, which is the whole part that we haven't touched during this session. And in order to be able to do that, what I definitely recommend stop doing is, systematically skewing or destroying the data that insurers have available, through their existing processes or legacy systems. You need the best data possible to get the best outcomes.
Very good. And then last but by no means least, Vit, do you want to bring us home for a quick 30 seconds?
Yeah, just shortly. If you haven't start now. Sooner or later, it will get you, and the insurance world is evolving. So this is the best thing that I can give you. Start.
Excellent. And just like that, we're out of time. So I wanted to thank Vit, Christina, and Tashkin for the time. Thank you to the audience for joining us as well. A video recording will be in your inboxes on Tuesday, so you can relive some of the insights that we've covered today. And I look forward to seeing you next week on next week's webinar. And thank you again for Resistant AI for partnering with us on this session today. Have a good all evening, morning, or good night, depending on where in the world you are speaking from. And see you next week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.